I tell you, the donuts were a distraction. Here we are.
And we're good to go.
Excellent, thank you. Good morning. This is the convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. Before I get started, we're going to take a roll call because we're holding this meeting virtually. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Maynard.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
There you are. Thank you so much. We're going to get started. It's an agenda setting meeting today, public meeting number 142. And I'll turn to Commissioner Hill for our minutes.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the commission approve the minutes from the March 15, 2023 agenda setting meeting that are included in the commissioner's packet, subject to any necessary corrections for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any edits or corrections? All right. Hearing none. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes. Thank you. And thank you to legal for that. We appreciate that good work. All right. Now, Karen is on a well-deserved holiday. We won't tell her that it's pretty nice weather outside, but I think she's going to be getting some good sunshine and beach time. So we'll get started. On our notes, you'll see that we have scheduled, we have a public meeting tomorrow on March 30th, and I just want all of you to note that the notes in today's packet have changed. So the accurate schedule for the agenda is reflected on the posting that, thank you to Dave and Grace and Judy, have been posted. So I'll just walk us through tomorrow's agenda. We will hear from Director Lilios on the Massasoit Greyhound application, but only with respect to the explanation and review of the applicant's operating lease agreement. Then we have now amended the agenda to reflect that we may have to, or we may choose to go into executive session, commissioners. Then the next item will be the disclosure by Better Holdings relating to SEC matter that will be discussed again under the direction of Director Lilios, and looks like Kathleen Kramer is also involved. Thank her. Then we're going to turn right to Director Band, who will, for tomorrow, Director Band, you'll only be looking at the approval of the House rules. You weren't quite ready. They aren't quite ready for the operation certificate. So
That's correct.
So we won't have that tomorrow.
Yes.
And then legal has a couple of matters to address, and one of them has to do with the withdrawal of PointsBet, Massachusetts, and then also relevant to the determination as to whether wagering on horse racing may be included in the sports wagering catalog. And I know that there have been comments distributed on that for our review commissioners. And then we'll hear from Director Lightbound, again, with respect to FanDuel's request for approval to enable access points to FanDuel racing within the FanDuel Sportsbook. That's her only item for tomorrow, unless we hear otherwise. And then we are going to make sure to allow full time for Director Vanderlinden to go over from a preliminary basis the research agenda for fiscal year 24. Commissioners, are there any questions with what is posted right now for our agenda for tomorrow? All set?
I have a question, okay. Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Skinner.
On the Better Holdings, the first matter under IEB, do we have any written material for that? I know the packet was distributed yesterday. I didn't sift through it.
Director Lilios, is there a one-pager on that?
No, there really wasn't a one-pager. I think something was circulated to you some weeks ago, some public information. I can circulate a link to that again. The SEC had made a public announcement of it that I think we circulated. I can send that around again.
Okay, please do. That's the only thing I haven't seen any information on at this point.
Okay.
Loretta.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you, Director Lilios. Okay, any other questions for tomorrow? There were a few changes, and so I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. Okay, I think we can then move on to Friday, March 31st. We did have scheduled adjudicatory hearings and deliberations, commissioners. It was a request from MGM Springfield if we could join them in recognizing Problem Gambling Month and the 1-year anniversary of Play My Way. So that is being scheduled. Who can help me on the details on that? I believe, Mills, you might have some information.
Yes, Chair. That is, I think you pretty much covered it. The commissioners have been invited to MGM Springfield. The team out at MGM Springfield recognizes that March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and there's been a number of announcements. I know Dave posted a great blog by our Research and Responsible Gaming team earlier talking about Problem Gambling Awareness Month. The folks at MGM Springfield asked that commissioners join them on Friday at 11:30 at the GameSense Info Center at MGM Springfield, to recognize the month, and then also the coincidence that it is 1 year since MGM Springfield had launched Play My Way, the voluntary budgeting tool for folks to utilize while they're using slot machines, which is live on every slot machine in the Commonwealth.
And do we know what time we're expected to be there, Mills, yet?
The plan is to start the event around 11:30, so really any time before that, I think would be perfect.
11:30 is the actual. Okay. Commissioners, any questions I know Commissioner Hill,
Yeah.
you're unable to make it, and we're going to miss you.
I'm trying to work things around, but as of right now, yes.
Okay, well, and it's, for reasons that Commissioner Hill is so flexible so often, but this is one where you can't be as flexible as you would like to be. All right. And
Madam Chair, my question is on my calendar. I still have us starting an adjudicatory hearing at 1. That's not going to be possible if we're in Springfield for something that kicks off at 11:30. So are those going away also?
Well, that I mentioned that they are on our calendar, and I have mentioned to folks that they are on the calendar. It's just that because they are going away. The 2 adjudicatory hearings are being moved.
Okay.
Maybe Todd, you can bring us up.
Because the 11 o'clock was moved, but the afternoon is still on the books right now.
No, I think that we are not expected to do the deliberations because they would be related to the 2 adjudicatory hearings. I know we have to return to the deliberations of the other 2 adjudicatory hearings, so I've asked legal. Caitlin, I know you're working. Everyone is working on our scheduling, which is does always require patience. We know you so much of it. How's your magic going? Oh, 1 minute. Let's see if it comes through. So can you hear me now? Okay, so my question is on our scheduling. It takes a great deal of patience by all of our team members who work on our calendar. And I know Caitlin has that in spades, but in terms of the magic, how's your magic going, Caitlin?
Grace and Trudy are really the ones with the magic on this, but we are working together to get them back, to get several different things on the calendar. So the continued deliberations, getting that on the calendar, rescheduling the 2 adjudicatory hearings that were originally scheduled for Friday, and then also the recently decided adjudicatory the adjudicatory hearing that the commission recently decided to hold regarding PSI. So those are all in process, and I'm hoping to get them done by the end, scheduled by the end of the week. Not that they will happen by the end of the week, but they'll be scheduled by the end of the week.
All right. So thank you. So Commissioner O'Brien, I'm sorry if it wasn't clear through messaging that Friday had been changed to accommodate the MGM Springfield event.
I knew that was in the works. It's just like I said, my calendar still showed 1. I didn't know if we were expected to do that or whether that was moving also. So that clears it up.
Okay, any other questions for Mills about the event? Okay. All right. So then we're moving on to April 6th. Commissioner Skinner, I believe that you had noted that you were not available that day, and that your only request is that we move the assessment of Executive Director Wells to another date, which I think we've done. Is there, right now, I'll go through and you can let me know if there's any concerns. Right now on the agenda, we have the administrative update, which Karen will work on. We have meeting minutes, I guess, to the extent we know the date for those minutes yet. It's always helpful for the agenda. There she is. Good morning, Judy.
My camera's a little slow today, and I don't even know if it's working, but we'll get through this. Next up for approval are the minutes from November 10th, 2022.
Okay. And that will be for the April 6th meeting, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, then turning to regulations.
We are not planning on bringing any regulations forth on the 6th.
Okay. And then we have that matter, Todd and Alex, that you've been working on with Mr. Umbrello.
Yeah, we had asked at the last agenda setting, Mr. Umbrello said he wouldn't be ready for the 6th and asked if we could move it to the end of April, beginning of May.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Sterl and I have a couple catalog additions. They're kind of minor, and a house rule, a couple of house rules that would like to bring before you.
Okay. Am I correct that we still won't be ready for Better's certificate?
Yes, theirs is actually a software upgrade, so that involves GLI approving, and that's going to take a few weeks. So I'm not quite sure what the time frame is on that.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. So we'll take up the escrow RHDF matter. Looking for any other, is there any other business that needs to be addressed? Bruce, given the lightness of that meeting, what is your timing for that catalog matter?
It would probably be 15, 20 minutes.
In terms of, that would be our first opportunity to really meet. It's a Thursday, if we're trying to get onto the cadence of Thursdays. That's the only item that we have now, other than meeting minutes, commissioners. Should we? I would suggest keeping that because I feel like there will be other items that may pop up between now and the 6th. What do you think, commissioners?
That's fine, but I am wondering, I have something else I'd like to attend at 9 that morning, if there's any way to do a slightly later start.
No problem with me. It really would be to address Bruce's items and then anything else that comes up without the RHDF matter.
Yeah, could we do an 11 o'clock start instead of 10 so that I could do the event and get back?
I turn to those who are in charge of our schedule, Trudy and Grace, please. How does that look for Commissioner Skinner's out? But for the rest of us, I don't think, unless Commissioner Skinner, I don't think you'd be too concerned if we went ahead with those matters, but I don't want to speak for you.
I'm fine with you all moving forward with the matters currently on the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Maynard, I got a thumbs up from Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, I'm good, Madam Chair. I do want to bring up one issue. I don't know if this is the exact right time, and I know that Dr. Lightbound is really, really busy over the next few weeks. But she and I had, at your request, met late last month, early this month, about a memorandum, a 2013 memorandum delegation of authority from the commission to the director of racing at the time. I think she's requested that we review it and potentially update it. I'm working with her on that. We're going to put something together for review for the entire commission. I don't know if we want to try to time it with some of the launch of racing, or if we want to wait till Dr. Lightbound's 2 weeks. Pretty busy 2 weeks are over, but it is something that we're working on, and I would like to potentially get on the calendar.
So the first day of racing is April 10th.
Yes.
Which we'll be turning to momentarily. Right now, we do have our public hearing, that morning. But the event, the start is in the afternoon, correct?
Correct, at 4 o'clock post time. Yeah.
4 o'clock. And Dr. Lightbound, you and I have spoken about that delegation of authority and some of the concerns. How does that timing work? Should we use that for April 6th? Would that be helpful?
I am off the 6th and 7th. That's my last chance before the meet opens, and I have a very busy schedule next week. We have qualifiers at Plainridge on Monday, qualifiers again Wednesday, and we have our staff orientation on Tuesday. So I
say no more. You're off those days.
Pretty busy next week and the week after with the opening of racing. But after that, it would be great to get that on the agenda.
Okay, so just everybody pause for a second. My organization requires my device to restart by 3:31. I can pick a time right now. I can let my device restart right now. What should I choose? Let my device restart, but it doesn't, I can't see anybody until I do something. I'll do later.
I would just delay it, Chair. That would be my former expertise there, former advice.
We only had it happen once during a public meeting, and it was just about a 45-minute delay. So there.
Just to let you know, though, when you do delay it, it will automatically do it later. So we could reach out to IT to try to get it to force when you're ready at lunch or something.
Yeah, so somebody, maybe Grace, we could reach out to IT to make sure it's being done tonight. Might be really helpful.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Now I can see you all again. Thanks for, I had to phone a friend, Crystal. Thank you so much. All right, so then we right now are limited to those items. Let me think about our calendar and whether it makes sense to, when I speak with Karen, if we roll this later, Bruce and Sterl and Crystal, we'll talk about that. All right, so April 10th, public hearing. Legal, we're set for that from 11 to 1 on the application for the Category 2 license. Is that right?
Madam Chair, is that April 10th or April 11th?
April 11th is the REIT I have down.
Right. This is the public hearing to get comment, right?
April 10th is the public comment for the application.
Right.
Oh, the Category 2. Okay, I see it now. I see it now. Thank you.
Is that right? Okay. Then we turn, and then noting 4 o'clock start for the kicking off racing season. Thank you, Dr. Lightbound and team. Then we have April 11th, the adjudicatory hearing. I think that starts at 10. And Counselor Hall, I don't know if she's on IB, but we should be all set to go forward with that. Legal, correct?
I will be circulating the notice, the hearing notice after this meeting. And then as long as it's good with everyone, I'll get that out today.
Okay, excellent, but it is right now set for April 11th.
Yep.
Then April 12th, we have all day set aside to assess the application, and it might be helpful for all of us to visit one of our application reviews to remember our approach and to remind me if the approach in any way changes. I would love to be as consistent as we can be with what we did with the untethered category 3 online sports. So any questions on those 3 dates, April 10th, 11th, and 12th, commissioners? Is there any hard stop, or we've got one that we got the 11 a.m. start for the 6th. Is there any hard stop or a later or delayed start that a commissioner needs? Okay. All right. So now we're turning to Thursday, April 13th. It's like a Jeopardy run here, and they're going every day. I'm wondering, Bruce, if we may end up, if we were to roll over what's on for that you anticipated for the 6th, if we rolled over to the 13th, the impact, and I don't want to put you on the spot, or our operators on the spot, because we can convene nimbly if it's important to just have a short meeting.
Yeah. I don't think it would be that big of an impact at this point, so would be good.
All right, so we'll circle back to that, commissioners, and if we take April 6th off, you'll know why, okay? So April 13th, we're going to start with the administrative update, meeting minutes, and Judy, I don't need to put you on the spot for that one yet. You may not be ready for that date. April 13th, regulations.
We do have 3 regulations for the 13th. Those would be 205 CMR 219 temporary licensing, 205 CMR 220 license conditions, and 205 CMR 231 renewal of a sports wagering license. So we'll be bringing those back for potential amendments on the 13th. And I might also note at this point that it would be helpful to know the meeting schedule sort of out through May or June so that we can start figuring out dates for other regs to come forward.
Yes, and Grace and I noted that, again, I have to thank Karen because she really stood in the place of Crystal. And I think where there have been maybe a few little catches here and there, it's because the role that Crystal played and now Grace plays is so instrumental to how we get things done and how I get things done. So Grace and I talked about right now that we need to get on the calendar all the future dates, and we'll be discussing those today. And then Caitlin, we also know that we can be flexible for legal to accommodate the regulation schedule. So, work closely with Grace on this, and Grace and Trudy will be coordinating and making sure that all the holds are on the schedule so that commissioners can plan, and most importantly, all of you can plan. So a big credit to Karen, and that's why I'm happy that she's enjoying some sunshine right now. So those 3 regs, then we would move to the issue around the racing application and the reg review. And because there's so many items that sound like they're addressing the same thing, I think the nuance will be helpful, Commissioner O'Brien, for you to remind us of what we'd be looking at specifically.
Yeah, so this is addressing, hopefully avoiding the situation we were in last year where we had people coming in front where we were doing public hearings and being asked to adjudicate an application before there was a vote by the municipality that was finalized. And so what I'd like to do is have a conversation about putting that clearly, not only in the app, but in the reg. So it's clear to everybody that the expectation is that's a prerequisite that happens before we start holding public hearings for comment and hearing presentations for a vote.
Todd?
Yeah, and if I can just piggyback on what Commissioner O'Brien just said, we also started taking more of a holistic review of the entire draft in light of our work on the Hardwick application. And there are a couple of other areas that the reg may benefit from a further look at. So, and we're still doing that. If it's not a problem, I think perhaps if we can push that date back a little bit so we can get to it all together instead of just piecemeal. I think, I don't know that time, knock on wood, timing is not an issue at the moment. So I think a couple extra weeks would be helpful on that.
Yeah, it would be great to get that work done before any application shows up. You know, it's just a good policy, but Commissioner O'Brien, you don't have a problem pushing it off a little bit?
No, that makes sense to me.
Okay, so Grace, let's note that, and then once we start figuring out dates for the future, we'll make sure to circle back and see what might work for Todd and Eileen and Dr. Lightfound. Okay, and then I note that next is the assessment, the review of Executive Director Wells. I know she's been working on her own self-eval. Commissioner O'Brien, you might have asked, I didn't get in my notations the date that she planned to give it to us. I don't know.
Believe yesterday, I don't know if Tripty's on, I think she might have given it to Tripty yesterday.
For circulation.
For then circulation out to us. So we should be getting it momentarily if we didn't get it already.
I will be sending it to you shortly.
Okay, excellent. So that gives
Sent it late last night.
Yeah.
And then Tripty, could you, if you've received that, I know that you circulated for everybody the our form for the evaluation itself. It would be really helpful if you recirculate that. Thank you. And so we would have time to, do we have a deadline for Tripty so that we submit it to Tripty? And then you share them with Executive Director Wells. And then we have the opportunity, if we wish, to speak with Karen about our evaluation. Is that, so what would you like, what's the deadline for our work?
So that wasn't determined in the meeting, but I think we were thinking 2 weeks and then 2 weeks. So if we can look at 2 weeks from now, and then I think we had to think about how it would fit into the schedule for the public meeting.
Well, that puts us into sort of 4 weeks.
Well, the 2 weeks was for the self-assessment for Karen, which is complete.
Okay,
so
thank you.
The 2 weeks would be just for the commissioners to review and.
Commissioners, in terms of timing for you to complete the evaluation, do we want to submit it to Karen by April 6th, and then she'd have a week, and we'd have a week just to get back to her before the 13th? That gives us really only a week or so to complete it. Is that too compressed?
What can we do by the 7th? Just give us an extra day.
I'm fine with that. Commissioner Skinner, Commissioner Hill, and Commissioner Main.
Sure, I can make April 7th work, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill, if he's given me the okay. Commissioner Main. Okay, nodding of the head. So Tripty, if you just want to give us a reminder to submit back to you on April 7th, that would be excellent.
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you. And then commissioners, it's really up to us whether or not we meet with Karen in advance of the public assessment. And don't forget that we also will be in this Tripty where you can be helpful too. And commissioners, we should ask Tripty now if there's any data points we want from her with respect to compensation in terms of, looking at any other jurisdictions, anything about that. But Tripty would include perhaps in the email where Karen's at now. And then it might be helpful to understand any percentages that were raised over the course of the year since we set it because of our cost of living basis or anything like that. Trupti, just as a reminder to the commissioners where we started and where she is now. Is that
So-
helpful?
I think the first thing I'll do is I'll get the self-assessment over to you today, and then I'll follow up with an email with the other data points that you're requesting, just in the interest of time. They'll get you guys working on it.
Perfect. What would you like to hear from Trupti on compensation, commissioners?
So I think last year we had, we looked at some other comparable agencies. I think cannabis, what the ED of cannabis was making, Post, a couple of those. I would be curious to see some of the neighboring jurisdictions in terms of EDs that handle sports wagering as well, since that's a new responsibility that's been put on. I know some of them aren't exactly like us, that we're all structured a little bit differently, but if there's any way to get a sense of that, that would be helpful, I think.
Okay.
And Commissioner O'Brien, I'm assuming you said near us because you're thinking of cost of living, but I don't want to assign that in my head.
Yeah.
I'm-
Yeah,
Oh.
no, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Commissioner Maynard, Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Skinner, do you have any other data points that you'd like? Of course, if you think of something, just ask Trupti. Okay, Commissioner
Commissioner
Hill.
O'Brien, yeah, Commissioner O'Brien captured it.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, Commissioner Skinner, are you all set?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And then Mark is not able to be here, but Grace, Mark has given you some notes. Do you want to go over those for us, please?
Yes, Chair, for the April 13th meeting, for the EVH Public Safety Report, he has asked that that be pushed off until later in April if possible. He should be ready by the end of April for that.
Okay. And then he has some things, we'll address them as they arise. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So any other item for April 13th to the team members then? All right. So I think now we'd be trying to, oh, yes.
I have an April 13th request. If possible, is it possible for us to start earlier? I have something that evening. I actually have family coming in to town, and they don't come often. So, I mean, I looking at the schedule, I think I can make it all work. Is there any way we could do a 9 or a 9:30 start as opposed to a 10?
Commissioners Grace and Trudy, is there anything that looks?
I can do that.
I can do as early as 9.
Yep.
Okay. I'm all set, 9 a.m.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else for the team for April 13th? Okay, so we've already got a couple of requests for later in April, one or later, even May perhaps, for both the racing application revisions and also the public safety report. So this is probably a good time before we start our under review notes to go through possible dates in April and then into May. To the extent we can start to achieve our cadence of, Wednesday, 1 week for agenda setting, and then the following Thursday for our public meetings. That will help give the structure that will allow us to sprinkle in the adjudicatory hearings that we'll have, the public hearings that we'll have occasionally, and it'll just, give us some anticipation for the team. So what do we have on hold, Trudy, any further dates in April? I know it's family vacation week. Am I right? But is it family vacation week in April?
School
Yeah,
vacation,
starting 4/17.
yeah.
My daughter's running the marathon. Just want to note that. We take all prayers and good vibes on that. All right.
After the 13th, there's nothing else on hold.
Okay. So,
Not 27th for independent monitor, and didn't we have that date? Didn't we discuss that at some point?
April 27th has come up and it's in our notes. The independent monitor, that was the date that
Yeah, it sticks with their normal cadence, and that's the last time we spoke with them. I believe that was the date we talked about.
right. Commissioner Skinner, I know that you reached out to Grace, and so I'm not sure if that's a date that could work for you or not. So I just want to check in with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Grace and I did have a quick conversation about my availability that week. Full disclosure, I am planning to attend the IMGL conference in California. And that is from the 26th, that Wednesday, through the Friday, 28th. And so if there's any way possible, if we could do earlier in the week, I would be available. Otherwise, the presentation will have to go on without me if there's a quorum.
So it's so April 26th, 27th, and 28th.
So I guess when are you flying out to? Is the 25th a possibility, or is it more just the 24th that week?
No, both the 25th and the 26th are possibilities.
I'm available those days.
I can't pledge the 26th for the independent monitor.
Yeah, we'll have to check. Yeah.
Yeah, because that date was forwarded to them.
I didn't have a hold on my calendar. Just I don't know if anyone else did, but there's nothing on my calendar in terms of a hold for that. But as I said, if it needs to go forward without me, that will just be the case.
I think we just check with them on their availability, because worst case scenario, we go into the week following, right?
May, I think I have the first and second. I've been asked to speak out of state on the second. So the second I'm not available. And I think I'm flying out late on the first and late on home late that night. But I don't have those. I don't know if it's in my calendar, Trudy, or not. I think I put them in there. So the first 2 days, that would be, depending on the timing, the second.
May 2nd?
Yeah, did I put down, you'll see probably, I don't know if I put my flight times in there or not.
No, it just says you're in Vegas for the AGA board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the first, my full disclosure, my husband booked my flight because I'm just doing this privately. So I'll have to ask my travel agent.
It's on hold. The day is on hold. It says you're flying out, but I don't know if that's the case.
All right. Maybe I haven't booked it yet. All right, so I can get that, but otherwise it would be the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. I think I'm available.
Yeah, you have some holds for GPAC, but
all right.
And the 5th to vacation day. So looks like the 3rd.
That's my trustee meeting. Yeah. So thank you. That's a complicated week for me. The 5th, because I will be in meetings all day, so I can't even step out. So thank you for the reminder, Trudy. I can't keep track of my own schedule. Thank you so much. So the 4th is open, and the 3rd's open for me, and then maybe the 1st would be open too, because I would be flying, I think, late in the day on the 1st, and then coming home late at night 2nd. So if we could explore those. Commissioners, what are your schedules?
That first week in May is fine, or the dates that Trudy just walked through, and you confirmed your availability for, Chair. But I also think we should offer the 25th of April and the 26th of April.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got those two, but we'll just see how the independent monitor schedule is panning out. Anybody else? Okay, we're for you. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Yep. And then Commissioner Maynard and Commissioner Hill.
I'm happy with Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
May the 4th. And that's also a Thursday, so that's a good cadence. So thank you. All right. Let's go through other dates that we can put some holds on for business, because we also have the adjudicatory hearings. And I'm right, am I right that the entire week of the family vacation week is out? I don't want to make any assumptions on that.
I'm TBD that week, which is why I've asked if there's a way to stay away. Obviously, if it's not set in stone yet, I have a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm probably out most, if not all, of the week.
It is a vacation day anyway, that first day.
The Monday's the holiday, yeah.
The
So
holiday.
it's Monday through Friday.
Okay. So let's not plan on those 4 dates, because we have many parents on the team too. You know, they have so April's a good challenge. May dates going forward. The 6th, how's May 13th looking? And how's May 12th would be the 12th would be for agenda setting. Yes, Commissioner O'Brien.
Well, no, if May 4th is the Thursday that we're leaning toward,
we go to the Wednesday.
If we start getting into the every other cadence, right, it would be the 4th, the 18th, June 1st for meetings, right?
You're skipping ahead. So let's look at, let's actually do agenda setting.
June 8th, I'm out of pocket, so I'm hoping it times itself so that.
Oh, you're ahead of me. You're ahead of me. Let me catch up. So if May 4th, then May 10th for agenda setting.
Yeah.
May 18th for public meeting. Anybody raising any concerns? May 24th for agenda setting.
Sorry, Chair. It looks like you have a conflict on May 18th.
Oh, I'm going to a wedding.
Yeah.
Well, let me figure out. I think I'm flying out Wednesday night. You know where I'm going, where Bruce Band just came back from. Meet 16. But if it turns out, so the 18th, we'll see what's on. If it turns out that I can't make it and have a quorum, we'll go for it. Let's look to see what's on for that day. Okay, thank you. I'm really excited to go to Charleston. 18th, 19th. Okay, so the 24th would be the Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then
June 1st.
June 1st. And going back to the Friday that I'm out in May, I'm assuming that that doesn't cause a big problem for our team. It's not a Thursday that I was out in May. But if it turns out that that Friday is essential and I can't be here, we'll go forward. Okay. I just wanted to point that out because that's personal and for a board, a nonprofit board that is. Okay, so June 1st, was that a problem for you, Commissioner O'Brien?
No, the 8th, the following Thursday, I'm out.
Oh,
So
that's
the
the
1st to the 15th,
Yeah.
that works for me.
And then would be the 7th again, if we are going into that structure for that setting. And then on the 15th. and then on the 21st, and then the 29th. How are we doing, Caitlin? This gives you the structure, and
This
then
is perfect. Thank you.
you're going to sprinkle things in, and commissioners will need to be keeping Trudy and Grace up to date on your schedules. And then what I ask is that we have these conversations like today, because we need to get particularly our adjudicatory work done and our deliberations done. So, we want to make sure everyone is able to participate to the fullest extent possible, and yet keeping us moving ahead. All right. Does that work? That structure work for everyone? If we get back to that cadence, Commissioner Hill, does that feel a little familiar to you? I don't think Commissioner Maynard's ever had that familiar structure, so it's all new to him. And Commissioner Skinner, I know you're familiar with it. Both this role and your last role. Okay. So now, team, with that said, Grace, let's go back to the racing application. Is there a favorite date that popped up there, Todd and Commissioner O'Brien and Alex?
I would defer to legal. I think I just have the one issue that I wanted to bring up. So I would defer to legal on when they can be ready.
Thank you. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, no preference. I think any of those days in May should work okay.
Okay. So let's let the notes reflect that there's some flexibility. And then with respect to Mark, he was looking for late April. Joe, we should probably circle to you too. Were you thinking of an April date for Encore Boston Harbor's public hearing?
So yeah, I reached out to the city of Everett, and I did a straw poll of the commissioners, and it looks like April 25th, the evening of April 25th works for everyone. So I just sent an email just moments ago to Trudy, asking her to put a hold on the commissioners' schedules for that. So we're looking at 6 to 8 p.m. on that. We will need to schedule a public meeting of the commission, and actually probably a couple of public meetings of the commission to talk about the what exactly we want to get from Encore with respect to an application, and then obviously having that hearing with Encore and make deliberating and deciding on that. But I think that can happen subsequent to that public hearing on April 25th.
And Commissioner Skinner, that works for you?
It does.
Okay, excellent. And then you're just figuring out too if it's live or in virtual or hybrid.
Well, I think we're going to be in person for sure. I think the question is whether or not we have the ability to do it in a hybrid fashion or not. I've got a call into Everett. I haven't heard back yet, so we'll coordinate with their IT department as necessary. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We can always have just the live meeting and have people submit written comments like we always used to do. If necessary. Whatever the commission's pleasure is, really. If we can get hybrid, then it will be certainly up to the commission what you want to do.
Okay. So that's on for 6 to 8. We don't have otherwise a late April date. Am I right, Grace? Right now. So we'd move into May.
Yes, that is correct. Although you were going to check in on April 25th and 26th to see if that would work in addition to the May 1st, May 3rd, and May 4th dates.
Okay. And that's all dependent on the independent monitor.
Correct.
So perhaps if one of those dates opens up, then we could put Mark's report on.
Yes, we could do it the same, whichever day is selected, we could put Mark's report on for that day.
Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, so now under review, and I really do need Grace's assistance here because the calendar is fluid. So thank you. The racing license renewal application, is that to bring it up to date, Todd? Is that what we've got planned there?
Yeah, so that's the application that PPC uses essentially as distinguished from the new application. And we'll take a close look at that once we get through the present one we're looking at.
Okay. So you just want to keep that under review.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Our ILAB,
Forever under review.
I think that's a song.
Joe, can you just, Madam Chair? We are going to be asking our operators to give us updates on that in the next quarterly review. Is that an accurate statement?
We actually asked for that in the last quarterly review. And we got some, sort of general statements. We will be asking them for that annually.
Thank you.
I think the question here is whether we want to do some sort of a more in-depth review with the ILEVs themselves and the licensees and what we want them to do as sort of regular kind of follow-up on this thing.
Commissioner Hill, I put out this idea. Do you like it? We could do a round table. If that's something you'd like to hear from the different stakeholders, I just don't know. I'm not going to suggest, I'm not in that area, but if you are looking for, that would be in public. If you guys want to continue to meet just to sort things out, that's fine too. But
I think what I would like to do, we hear from the operators, but we're not hearing from, let's say, theater owners or theater operators. And I think I would like to hear from them as well at some point. So how we do that, I leave up to the commission, but I think we need to have that discussion.
We heard from the Everett-based one in the last, but in terms of others, I don't know if I'm even aware of other stakeholders. So we'll leave it to the two of you and Todd.
Yeah, there's a limited universe of entities that have been designated as ILEVs. So it's not necessarily every theater owner, unless you want to hear from anyone who's interested. But we have specific designated ILEVs that we could reach out to.
And it's really the same ILEV for all three licensees. It's that Mass Performing Arts Coalition.
I'd like to get this one off under review.
Yeah.
So how we do that is we'll meet and talk.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks. Okay. Now to the Encore Broadway expansion. We've got the public hearing time, and then you're looking for
Yeah, so I've got a couple of more 2x2s to do on the memo that I sent out a couple weeks ago. So I think once those are done, we can then talk a little bit about how the commission wants to move ahead with first determining, what exactly it is we're going to ask from Encore in their application, and then we can set that review with. But I think that's probably something that can, happen in that if there's a late April meeting set up, that might be a time we could put on for that initial discussion with the commission, and then probably sometime in May for the actual public meeting on that. And full disclosure, I will be on vacation that first week of May, so I would be unavailable if we wanted to move at that time.
You going someplace good?
I am chartering a sailboat for a week in the Adriatic. That is what I'm doing.
Isn't that an important question to ask there?
Yes. And I'm not changing that for Encore Boston Harbor. Sorry.
We're not going to let you change it. That's awesome. We want pictures. That's incredible. See, there we go. I'm also going to send good vibes and thoughts to you, Joe. That's great. I'm glad I asked. All right, so we would just roll it over to the next week or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I'm not sure there's going to be another April day.
No, I think, and I mean, the issue, so with Encore, They still have to go through the whole MIPA process, and as of, they originally were going to submit on March 15th, and, Encore's told me that they put that submission off for a couple of weeks. And they were looking to have the process finished up by the end of July, which now means it's probably going to be the, middle end of August before it's done. So, obviously we want to move quickly on this, but, we do have some time in the process where we wouldn't be, holding them up unduly.
Great. Moving on then, Joe, if you're all set to racing ADW regulations, again, Commissioner O'Brien, I assume you'd be working with Alex and Todd on that as well?
Yeah,
Under review still?
yeah. But hopefully when we come up with a date to revive the horse racing app, we can fold that in, I hope, if it's as discreet as I think it's going to be.
Oh, that would be great. Okay. So we'll just add Alex and okay. Now, horse racing on event catalog, we put that in for tomorrow, so I think we're all set.
Yep.
Okay. And independent monitor, I guess I'll send out an email, Commissioner O'Brien with Todd CC'd as well. See if, and Grace, I'll just need those dates and times to offer to the independent monitor. Then we have the compliance committee, and then your succession of officers in positions 7 and 8 on our notes.
Yep. So I think 7 can stay under 8. I'm wondering that first week in May, because I think we have to vote by the end of the month of May. So we should probably put it on for whatever ends up being the first public meeting in May. Number 8.
I think May 4th, because I'm remembering now Commissioner Maynard's got that in my head. So
yeah, so why don't we put it on that one up for May 4th?
okay. Okay. And then the public safety report, Grace, we're going to come up with.
Yeah, that should be added to whatever date is selected for the independent monitor.
Okay, good. Okay. Commissioners, keep your own notes going, because I'm just going to get through this list and turn back to you and then to the whole team. Then we have Director Van Linden's patron license and survey report. Did he give you notes on that, Grace?
Yep, so for items 10 and 11, both of those remain under review.
Okay. All right. Now back to you, Joe.
Yeah, so this MGM HCA compliance update, we're going to ask for that along with their quarterly report, which brings me to quarterly reports. So I guess I'd like to add, April 13th is probably too soon for a quarterly report, since their quarter ends just this Friday. So I guess in May, we'd be looking to do all of our licensees' quarterly reports. So maybe we do those at the second meeting in May. We could do all 3 of them together, or, I know how you like to split them up a little bit, but I know the last time we did them all together and that seemed to go pretty well.
Because will we have an executive session requirement or no?
No, there shouldn't be on this one.
No, that's okay.
Nope.
So is May 4th, Grace, how's May 4th looking so far?
Well, I'm going to be out that week. I mean, they could make their presentations if you wanted them to do that without the benefit of my being
No, I forgot. Let's see, Joan, I know where you're going to be, but I've already forgotten when. So May 18th.
That would work, I think. I'm sure
they're okay with that. So, and Joe, Grace is not familiar with these, but they typically go about half an hour each.
They're about 20 minutes to a half hour, depending upon, what particular items are of interest to the commission.
And those are the quarterly reports for our 3 casinos on the gaming side. Not
right.
Commissioners, I'm not sure what we have for expectations around sports wagering operators. Should we think about that, putting that on our agenda? Because Caitlin, I don't know if it's addressed in a reg. Their affirmative reporting obligations to us. I feel like we've addressed it somewhere.
There is a reg related to affirmative reporting obligations. I believe it's 229.
Caitlin, that scares me.
Yeah, I know, I was singing that.
But I love it.
Probably
So
scares even more.
should we maybe, I don't want to add to April 6th because that we might move, but do we have April 13th is the next in a meeting when all 5 of us could be there? That might be something we could get an update from legal on about expectations for reporting the sports wagering. And that would be something for the sports wagering division to think about working with those reports. And Joe would be able to perhaps give some good advice on.
On the 15th, though, we will be in Las Vegas for the GLI conference.
The 13th, you mean?
Yeah, it's that week right there. So
Okay, so we could push that to
yeah.
another date, but let's make sure that we think about getting onto a cadence for their reports, right, Bruce? Have you thought about it? Have you been thinking about that anyway, or?
Yes.
Commissioners, any questions for Bruce on that?
Not on that, Madam Chair, but I do have a comment about, this is back to item number 12 under review, the MGM HCA compliance. So I asked for that item from Joe. I don't want to isolate MGM here because I know we've got to discuss compliance with the other licensees as well. So Joe, I just, I know you're teeing up a more fulsome discussion around HCA compliance. So I'm fine if you want to limit the whenever you're planning to appear. I don't know if a date has been determined, but I think it should just be the quarterly reports from each of the licensees, and we can tackle the HCA compliance at a later date.
Oh, sure, we could do that, absolutely. Yeah, I'm scheduling reviews with all of our licensees to look at, sort of all of their kind of external compliance, not just host community agreements, but Section 61 findings, surrounding community agreements, the whole sort of gamut. And that, those reviews will take some time to complete. I mean, there are literally thousands of items that they're required to do. So, it will be something that's not, days away. It's more weeks away.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. That just seems more equitable to me.
Sure, we can do that.
MGM on the spot solely.
Commissioner Skinner, am I right, though, that you had brought up the fact that we had been hearing some public, I don't know if we've comments, and so is there anything, you're saying that all of that can be addressed in sort of one, looking through the lens that Joe can give us? It might be a little bit more in the future, though. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I think it can be addressed all at once. Joe and I had the opportunity to sit down a couple of weeks ago, and he reminded me of what the specific issues were.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think we have to look at each of the licensees more comprehensively than just those few isolated comments that we heard about last summer and fall.
Great. Okay, good. Okay. Moving on then to item number 13. This is yours, Commissioner Maynard. You've got some dates now, more dates on the delegation of authority and racing regulations. Maybe separating out the two. One is maybe more discreet.
Yeah, I actually think that we could do the delegation of authority. Maybe we want to do it with the application if we have Dr. Lightbound that day anyways. I don't think it will take long. I mean, I think what Dr. Lightbound and I were thinking was circulate an updated draft, let the commissioners look at it, and then come in with comments. I don't know how you feel about that, Dr. Lightbound and Chair.
I have to ask our legal, can if Commissioner Maynard's involved in that, is that okay for him to circulate, or do we have to wait?
Yeah, Commissioner Maynard should not be circulating anything probably, but he can obviously work on whatever.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Dr. Lightbound can circulate.
Yes, or Dr. Lightbound.
Jordan, I really wasn't sure what the rule was at all, so that was really helpful, Todd. Thank you. And just again.
Did you want to put that the delegation of authority on for May 4th, or?
Is that the date that we decided on for the racing application, or do you want to do May 4th for the delegation of authority on Dr. Lightbound? If you'd be ready for it, we could separate it out.
Yeah, I don't know that we have, do we have a date for the regs?
Not the regulations. I think right now, we don't have a date for that. I just separated out the delegation of authority and the racing regs under 13. The only thing that's come up, and again, I'm losing track as to whether we've assigned a particular date for the horse racing applications and the ADW piece. And did we, Grace, did we decide on a date for that? I think Todd was looking for, was it May? Would work?
Yeah, that's right.
We could do it on that May 4th, and just so I'm clear, and sorry if this is my confusion, we're definitely gonna have a meeting on May 4th. And then in addition to that, we're looking at other dates that between April 25th and 26th and May 1st and 3rd for the independent monitor report.
Right.
It's not gonna be one meeting.
Right. So I think we're looking for the independent monitor to make sure that Commissioner Skinner can see that, and also Commissioner Skinner, I don't think we're going to have any meetings when you're not available. So I don't think we have, it's really about the availability of the independent monitor. And if we had only the independent monitor on, that would be probably an okay public meeting. But our regular public meetings are scheduled then for the 4th and the 18th of May. The 4th, and we know that Joe's going to be cruising, to be in charge. And then the 18th. So the 4th is that too soon for you, Dr. Lightbound? Would that be good for the, let's just.
If you separate the delegation of authority out from the regs, I think, and speaking with Commissioner Maynard, that's fairly straightforward. We could possibly be ready for that. I don't think and I defer to Todd on the regs. That might take a little bit longer.
And on the, I guess, forgetting the regs for a bit, the application itself.
For the application.
What date do you like, Todd? You get to pick.
I think that the later date in May may be preferable, only because we're going to want to be able to socialize some of these proposals internally before moving forward with them. So perhaps the extra week or two would be helpful.
And Madam Chair, I doubt that the delegation of authority will be all wrapped up that day, right? It's really just everyone getting their first look at it. I imagine there will be comments and changes.
And then you bring it back so maybe the 4th is a discussion, and then the 18th might be finalization. And then Dr. Lightbound, I know there are at least one provision that you're, not thrilled, not comfortable with, and if we change at least that's progress for you, right?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's get moving on that for your sake, Dr. Lightbound. So how about the 4th, Commissioner Maynard, and then with the 18th discussion and then vote on the 18th? If it turns out we can vote on the 4th and it's good to go, we'll get the work done then. So preserve the option to vote on the 4th. Okay.
And Chair, we're talking racing, I had that item from the April 6th meeting, the escrow, that we wanted to move to the end of April, beginning of May, if that could go on the May 4th meeting.
Todd?
That sounds great.
Okay, excellent. So the May 4th would work.
Thank you.
And Grace, if we do find that earlier April date, we could always, at the next agenda setting meeting, shift. But right now, let's plan on May 4th. It seems like we may need the force to be with us as everything sort of falls onto that date. So, okay. So the regulations will keep under review. But the next one is also yours, Alex. The recognition of the Jockey Guild.
Yeah, if we can keep that under review.
Okay. And then we have for Mary Ann, good morning.
Good morning. We actually have a meeting with DCAM set up for the first week of April. So maybe sometime in May, we'll have some kind of report.
Okay. So let's shoot for May 4th and we'll assess that date. Otherwise, May 18th, and we would need an executive session for that. Correct?
Right.
Thank you. We'd have to vote to go into executive session. All right, those are the items. Commissioners, any other input?
Madam Chair, I do have, this probably is the right time to put on the Community Mitigation Fund as under review. We are probably a couple of weeks away still before really putting together a good schedule for that. But, we have a record number of applications this year. So, obviously that means more work for all of us and more work for the commission. My thought on this is that it might make sense to have a couple of separate meetings for this. I know we used to do it as just separate meetings and they were very long and arduous, but, and I know in the last few years, we were able to break them up into multiple meetings. I think that we may need on a couple of the categories, specifically like public safety, where we get over 20 applications in that category alone. We may want to pull a separate meeting for those kinds of things to deal with. And then maybe we can, piggyback some of them onto the other meetings, but these will be throughout May and June, I would think. But we'll work, Mary and Lily and I will work over the next couple of weeks to see if we can't button that down a little bit better. So, I'll send off an actual, sort of proposed schedule to you and to Grace and to Trudy and see where we are and, what seems to make sense.
Okay, I'm going to suggest to legal, you might want to go first before Joe gets to the calendar. Competing for calendar landscape, right? So that's great, Joe. And we are, I do think you'll figure out what works best for the commission. Commissioners, do you have any advice for Joe on how you'd like to approach it? I think if we have some special meetings for it, it's actually a luxury to think about one thing during the course of a meeting, but I think a combination would work too, where we have a day set apart and then maybe it's interwoven into a standing public meeting as well.
I mean, we could have a category where we only have 4 or 5 applications and we could fit that into a particular meeting. But like I said, when you have 20 in one category, that might make sense to be separate. Or whatever. So I think we can do a little bit of everything.
Commissioner Hill, what do you think?
I like combination moving forward. Putting a few in and breaking up a meeting is always for me better, instead of having one meeting and having one subject matter for 6 hours. If we can break it up a little bit, I think that's the best scenario moving forward. And there are a lot of applications, and I want you to know the Community Mitigation Department is doing yeoman's work getting these looked at and talked about and getting ready for the commission.
Okay, excellent. I'm with you on the 6 hours. When I was thinking about concentrating, I wasn't thinking 6 hours.
I try and be a realist whenever I can.
I think, if we looked at a big category like public safety, it is probably definitely a 3-hour meeting, probably more, probably not 6, but maybe 3. Maybe 4, I don't know.
All right. Joe's a realist too. Okay. So you'll work with Grace and Trudy on that. And then legal's going to be working on the adjudicatory hearings. What else do we have, team, that needs to come in front of us? Sports wagering regs? You're going to get back to us on that?
Yeah, now that we have dates, we can firm up a schedule for what remains.
Okay. Anything else? I don't see Derek chiming in, so I'm assuming nothing for his department. Oh, there he is. You're good. There we are. Thank you for that, Derek.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. We have the proposed research agenda coming before the commission tomorrow, and it will need to come back for the final vote following GRAC and GPAC. So we could add that under review. I'd love to get that as close to the end of April or beginning of May as possible. However, the timing looks.
So I know that Grace has dates out for the GPAC. She mentioned that earlier, or Rudy mentioned that earlier. That's on we're holding it on calendar. So that should be firmed up pretty quickly, Grace. So then once Mark gets the feedback from GPAC, he'll come back to us with, is it for our final recommendation?
Yeah, it's a final approval. It would be a
Final
vote for the FY24 research agenda, considering your initial feedback as well as any feedback or advice that we would get from GPAC.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the team? Everything's going swimmingly in the sports wagering division. They don't have anything to bring to us. That's a good sign. All right. But again, there's a lot of dates in between these. Bruce, I was teasing, but you're good. But we proved that we can be so nimble. So dates can be, we can, look at other dates outside the structure, but it is good to get these dates on the calendar. Okay. Grace, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Thank you.
Okay. Trudy, are you okay? All set? Everybody should stop by and see Trudy today.
I'm good.
Yeah, you're all set? Beautiful yellow today for spring, so thank you. All right. Anything else, commissioners? Looking to adjourn then.
Move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Any concerns? Any edits? Any discussion? Commissioner O'Brien?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner?
Aye.
Commissioner Main?
Aye.
I vote yes.